Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're digging into something really specific, a single effects pedal.
Just one. But yeah, it tells a bigger story.
Exactly. We are focusing entirely on the MXR ILD-169. You might know it as the iLLOVEDUST carbon copy analog delay.
That's the one.
And our mission today really is to figure out this kind of paradox. What happens when a piece of gear, something known purely for its, analog sound.
A workhorse pedal.
Right, a total workhorse.
Yeah.
Gets turned into this piece of collectible art through a collab and, deliberate scarcity.
It's a really interesting mix of pure function and high design. So just for context, this ILD-169, it was a limited run back in 2018.
Oh, okay.
And what makes it special, the only thing really, is the look. It came from this partnership with iLLOVEDUST, that UK design collective.
Ah, right.
They basically took MXR's most famous delay and just splashed this wild graphic style all over it. Very different from the standard green box.
Okay. Let's break down the foundation first, though. Because, look, if the sound wasn't already iconic, a fancy paint job wouldn't mean much, right?
Absolutely.
So you're saying this ILD-169, underneath the paint, it's functionally identical to the standard M169 carbon copy.
100% identical. Same circuit inside.
So what is it about that circuit, the M169 engine, that makes it such a benchmark for analog delay? What's the magic?
Well, the magic, ironically, is kind of in the imperfection. It all comes down to the core tech, which is the classic bucket brigade device, BBD chips.
BBDs.
Yeah, and that means a fully analog audio path. Unlike digital delays, which make perfect copies.
Pristine copies.
Exactly. BBDs pass the signal down this little chain of capacitors, almost like a tiny fire bucket line for audio.
Huh. And what does that actually do to the sound, that physical process?
It directly creates what we call warmth. Basically, every time the signal gets passed along that BBD chain, it loses a tiny bit of high-frequency detail.
Ah, okay, so the repeats aren't as bright as the original note.
Precisely. They get progressively darker, softer, maybe more, musical. They sort of melt away instead of just repeating perfectly.
So they blend in better.
Right. And that inherent darkening, maybe even a little bit of noise on longer delay times, that's exactly why people love analog delay.
Yeah.
It adds texture, not just repetition.
Texture, not just replication. I like that. And performance-wise, what are we talking? Delay time.
Still really usable. You get up to 600 milliseconds of true analog delay.
600 milliseconds? That's quite a bit for analog.
Oh, yeah. Plenty for everything from a quick rockabilly slapback echo to really big sort of ambient washes of sound. It covers a lot of ground.
And power. Easy to integrate.
Standard stuff. Runs on a 9-volt DC supply.
Yeah.
Just like its more common green sibling. No surprises there.
Good. But, that warm tone needs good control, so the interface, it's the same familiar 3-knob layout.
Exactly the same. Super intuitive. You've got your delay knob, obviously, sets the time between repeats.
Simple enough.
Then the mix knob. Crucial. That blends your dry signal with the wet delayed signal.
So you can have it subtle or really prominent.
Yep. Dial it way back for just a hint of space or crank it up to a 50-50 blend for really strong echoes. Your choice.
And the third knob, region. That's the feedback control, right? The fun one.
That is absolutely the fun one. Region dictates how many repeats you get. So more region, more echoes.
But it does more than just more repeats, doesn't it?
Oh, yeah. If you push that region knob really high, you start to overload the BBD chips. They go into self-oscillation.
Ah, the space noises.
The classic escalating, spiraling sci-fi sounds. That's a key part of the analog delay experience, driving the circuit like that. Shows it's really analog.
Okay, so 3 main knobs. But there's another little feature tucked away there. The mod switch.
Yes. Tiny little toggle switch, but hugely important for the sound.
What's it doing?
That switch kicks in some internal modulation. It adds this subtle kind of chorus-like movement to the repeats themselves.
So the echoes aren't static, they shimmer a bit.
Exactly. They shimmer, they move. It's not just a straight copy fading away.
And why is that particular effect so desirable?
Well, it does a great job of evoking the sound of old tape echo machines, the mechanical ones.
Right, with the tape loops.
Yeah. Those machines naturally had slight variations in tape speed called wow and flutter. It wasn't perfect.
Okay.
This mod switch electronically mimics that organic, slightly wobbly, detuned feel. It makes the repeat sound richer, lusher, kind of bigger.
So it adds another layer of texture.
Definitely.
Yep.
Perfect for creating these atmospheric pads or soundscapes that sit behind your main playing.
Okay, so let's pull that all together. We've got the warm BBD decay, the crazy region potential, and this subtle mod switch. What kind of music is this ideal for?
Well, it's a real workhorse, like we said. Obviously great for that quick slapback echo you hear in country or rockabilly.
The classic stuff.
Yeah, but it really shines in rock, indie music, ambient, basically any style where you want the delay to add depth and atmosphere, but without being too sharp or clinical.
You want it to blend, not stick out like a sore thumb.
Precisely. It just sits beautifully in a mix. Never sounds cold,
Yeah.
always organic.
Okay. So we've established the circuit is brilliant, top-tier analog tone, versatile controls. But, and here's the big but, they took this perfect sound engine and dressed it up in something completely unexpected.
Yes. This is where we hit that divide between function and art. The iLLOVEDUST artwork.
Tell us about that look. It's not subtle.
Not at all. You go from that standard, almost military spec green
Yeah, very functional looking.
to this explosion of high contrast graphic art. iLLOVEDUST, they have this really bold style, often black and white, lots of vector shapes mixed with like hand-drawn bits.
Okay.
And on the ILD-169, it's these really vibrant, almost psychedelic graphics, just tons of visual energy crammed onto this little box. It really pops.
And this is probably the most important point we need to stress, right? Based on everything we've looked at.
Absolutely critical.
That paint job, those wild graphics, they do absolutely nothing to the sound.
Zero effect on the tone. It is, like you said, a tonal clone of the M169, just wrapped in this totally unique visual skin. Dock engine, custom bodywork,
So it's purely cosmetic.
purely. This is really a way for MXR to celebrate how huge the carbon copy had become. Kind of turn it into a festival piece, something
Yeah.
flashy.
Yeah, a statement piece.
Exactly. It appeals directly to players and maybe even more to collectors who want their gear to look as cool as it sounds. Visual impact matters to them.
And that visual appeal, that collectability, it gets amplified massively by the scarcity factor, doesn't it? How limited was this run?
Extremely limited. The numbers we're seeing suggest maybe only about 1,250 units were made worldwide.
Wow, that's tiny for a company like MXR.
It really is. And that scarcity instantly elevates it. It's not just another pedal off the production line, it's a collector's item, separate from the identical guts inside.
Right. Okay, let's make this practical now for you listening. You might see one of these pop up on the used market.
And they do pop up, occasionally.
But because it's rare, because it looks so unique, the ILD-169 costs a lot more than a standard used carbon copy. Often 3 times as much?
Easily. Sometimes more, depending on condition and location.
So we have to ask, is it rational? Is it worth paying that huge premium just for the paint job?
Well, that really hits the core question, doesn't it? It forces you to think about why you're buying it. Are you a user or a collector? Or maybe a bit of both.
Explain that distinction.
Okay, so if your only goal is function, if you just want that classic carbon copy analog delay sound for your pedal board,
The warmth, the modulation.
yeah, all that great tone, then honestly, the standard M169 gives you the exact same sound, identical, for way, way less money.
So functionally, the smart buy is the standard one.
Purely from a functional budget standpoint, yes.
So which means if you do decide to hunt down and pay the premium for the ILD-169,
Your decision has to be based on more than just the sound. You have to actively value the unique look, the rarity, the fact that it's a collaboration piece.
you're buying the story, the art, as much as the effect.
Precisely. You're paying for the provenance, the limited nature. And for that kind of buyer, the priorities shift when looking at used ones.
How so?
Well, suddenly, cosmetic condition becomes paramount. You're not just checking if it works. You're scrutinizing the artwork itself.
Right, because that's what you're paying extra for.
Exactly. Those high contrast graphics, they can show wear. Collectors want pristine screen printing, no big chips or scratches, and they'll want the original box, maybe any paperwork that came with it.
That's interesting. A scratch on a standard M169 might barely affect the price, but on an ILD-169.
It could drastically reduce its collector value,
Yeah.
even though, again, it would sound exactly the same.
So you're essentially buying the condition of the print, not just the electronics.
Yeah.
But there's a really nice silver lining here, isn't there, for someone who buys this art piece but actually wants to use it.
Huge silver lining. Because remember, internally, it's just a standard carbon copy.
Oh, the components.
The circuit board, the BBD chips, the pots, the jacks, they're all the same readily available parts used in the mass-produced M169.
Meaning? Repairs are easy.
Super easy.
Yeah.
If something eventually breaks, a switch wears out, a jack gets loose, any decent tech can fix it cheaply. Parts are everywhere.
Yeah.
You don't have that collector's nightmare of trying to find some rare proprietary component from a limited run.
That's brilliant, actually. You get the rarity and the look, but with the reliability and repairability of a standard pedal.
Exactly.
Right.
It's robust because it's standard inside.
So the ILD-169 really lives in this fascinating dual world. It's got this world-class, easily fixed mass-market analog heart.
Yep.
But it wears this exclusive, rare, artistic skin that makes people treat it like a fragile museum piece, an internal twin wrapped in a visual outlier.
That sums it up perfectly, I think. This deep dive really shows how a piece of gear can hold on to its beloved sound, that core analog function, while also becoming something more visually through a cool collaboration.
Yeah.
It highlights how much pure aesthetics can shift the value economically and psychologically, even when the actual utility hasn't changed one bit.
So we'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. In this world of music gear where there are so many options, so many clones, how much does manufactured uniqueness, that deliberate rarity, really add to the bottom line?
Yeah, where does the tool end?
And the art piece begin? When does utility stop being the main point? Something to think about. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.